Why is he getting all squirrely and not showing us his hands and just being all weird like that?
Because he's been shot before.
Well, I get that, but still, when officers say get out of the car, is he drunk? Is he on something?
Oh, he got a thing going on. I'm telling you about the police. He have problems.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the George Floyd body cam footage that has been released to the internet. You have 18 minutes of the body cam footage. It starts from the very beginning where the store owner talking to the police saying, hey, this guy's out there trying to pass a fake bill, to the point where they go up to the car. They're trying to arrest Floyd. He's resisting. And then it goes to the point where he's on the ground and his knees on his neck. Now, I cannot play that here, obviously. I can play little points of it throughout the video, but I can't play the entire thing. If you want to see that, a link will be in the description box below. You can see the entire footage in full, but let me get back to it. So the tape starts with the store owner, like I said, he's talking to the police saying, hey, this guy's trying to pass a fake bill. Now, the police go out and George Floyd and two of his friends or acquaintances or whatever are in this black SUV type vehicle. Floyd's driving, and then he has two passengers. It's a male in the front seat. It's a female in the back seat. I think there might have been his co-workers or somebody that he knew, or he may know both of them. He was giving them a ride. Now, the police talking to everybody in the car, not just George Floyd. Okay, George Floyd was a guy that they said had the fake bill, but they spoke to the other passengers. Now, the tape starts from what I saw, or like the longer one, because you got two different ones. The 18-minute one has like a different perspective. In the 18-minute one, he's talking to the passenger. It's a guy, black male, and he's cool. Everything is straight. He's just asking them questions. The guy's real calm. It's not escalated. The police, they're not escalated. The guy's not escalated. Everything's pretty much on the up and up. They just asking basic questions about what was he doing, where was he going. He's like, I was trying to get a laptop. I got my change back. You can ask the guy. He was real cool. And then the officer asked for his ID, and he got up out the car, asked, could he reach into his pocket to get his ID? Officer's like, yeah, sure, go ahead. He pulled his ID out, and then he kind of got not really pushed, but just kind of like guided back into the car to sit down when George Floyd began to act up, because one officer was on one side talking to the passenger, and the other guy, the other officers on the other side talking to George Floyd. George Floyd is erratic and talking crazy from the very beginning. Now, according to the autopsy that I've seen, I think there's at least two autopsies. One autopsy said that George Floyd did not die as a result of the knee. The other one said he did. But I think in both autopsies, they did say that he had fentanyl and methamphetamine in his system, also cannabis, weed, or whatever. But most importantly, the fentanyl and the meth. Now, it looked like the meth was talking when he was in the car talking to the officer. He's really erratic. Floyd was not listening to anything. He was going a mile a minute, just really erratic. Now, contrast that to the passenger, who was calm, cool, and collected. It was no problem, no nothing. Everything was good. Why would the passenger be so calm, cool, and collected and be treated very nicely and very normal-like if George Floyd was not going to be treated that way? The reason why George Floyd was not treated that way is because he was acting erratically, and the officer was trying to get him to calm down. Now, the officer did draw his gun and told George Floyd to get out because his erratic behavior kind of just, set off a red flag, like, hey, what's going on here? Something's wrong, get out. And all throughout the arrest process, trying to get him in a squad car, I'll talk about that in a minute. All throughout the process, they're saying, hey, are you on something? What's going on? He's like, no, man, I'm scared. Several different times, the officer's trying to guide him to the squad car. He's falling down, like intentionally, like he's up walking normally. He's not, like when he got out the car, he did not appear to have any kind of weakness in his legs. He's a pretty big, strong guy. He did not appear to have any kind of weakness, but he would just kind of fall down on purpose to prevent from going forward. It was really weird. You could tell that the drugs were talking and acting for him. He was not in his right mind. That was 1000% clear from the tape. And again, if you want to see that, a link will be in the description box below. Click on it, check it out. But anyway, they're trying to get him to the squad car. This is where things really just go totally left. Well, they had been going left from the very beginning, but the squad car was the beginning of the end, in my humble opinion. They had him cuffed up after him resisting, and they were trying just to get him to sit in a squad car. It was weird. They had him sitting down. Like, if he would have just sat down, let him close the door, and go to the police station, he'd be alive today, in my humble opinion, but he didn't do that. They had him sitting down, like, outside of the car, but on the seat, if that makes any sense. So his feet were facing out of the door, and the door was not closed, but yet he was sitting down on the seat. Okay. They're trying to get him to go in the car, close the door up, and move on. He's like, let me count to three. Let me count to three before I get in the car. It's like, count to three? Sir, just get in the car. What are you doing? So they are going back and forth for quite a bit. I say probably about 4 or 5 minutes, trying to get him just to sit in the car so they can close the door. He's laying all out with his feet extended. And George Floyd was a big guy, like 6'4", 6'5" or more. So if you laying with your body extended and you got a big frame, they can't really close the door and get you secured into the vehicle. So he just did not want to get in the car. It got to the point where he kind of like torpedoed his body out of the seat, and he was trying to go to the ground. He was asking specifically, hey man, let me lay down. I want to go on the ground. I don't know why he wants to go on the ground. Maybe he just wants to prevent from going to jail. He wants to delay jail. Or like I said, it could have been the drugs talking for him, because it didn't make any sense. Why you want to go on the ground when you could just get in the car and go to where you got to go? You're talking about, oh, I got claustrophobia. Claustrophobia? Really? Sir, you were just driving in the car. The space you had in the car is not much more than what you have in the back of a squad car. The squad car that they had was like an SUV, and so was the car that you were just in. I could see if you were driving in some kind of bus or something, and then try to put you in a Mini Cooper. Nah, you had an SUV. They had an SUV. Just get in the car. Let's go to the station. They probably just would have gave him some type of detox to get the drugs out of his system and let him go about his business. It probably wouldn't have been no charge really for the counterfeit bill. Nothing major. I mean, he could have been on probation or parole, but that would have been something different. Either way it goes, he was going to go to jail. But like I said, I think the drugs were talking. So he does not want to go to jail. He's just saying, let me go on the ground. Let me count to three, all this, that, and the third. So he eventually gets his way, and he's able to get on the ground because he was just simply not going into the squad car. Now, that's where the whole knee on the neck thing happened. And after that, he had died. Now, also in the video before he got on the ground, he was saying, I can't breathe. He was saying, I can't breathe, while he was struggling, trying to not sit down in the squad car.
No, take a seat. I can't choke. I can't breathe. Please. Fine. My wrist, man. My wrist, man, please. I can't take this, man. I can't. I'm only on the ground.
This is before any kind of pressure was applied to his neck. This is before anything. All he had on him was the handcuffs behind his back, and it was him just, worming and squirming around. Nobody had any kind of pressure on him. So, he was saying, I can't breathe right there. And then he said it when he was out there laying down, as was his request. And that whole knee on the neck thing was protocol in Minneapolis. Okay, they changed it to where it's not protocol anymore, but that was on the books. They taught that knee on the neck restraint. It wasn't a thing that was done out of malicious intent. And if it was, you got to be able to prove it. How are you going to prove it when that exact maneuver was in the training book? It was in the training manual. The officer who did that, Derek Chauvin, would have done that because he was trained to do it. And if anyone else did it, although they didn't, they would have been trained as well by what was on the books in Minneapolis. So to say that he did that to try and hurt the man, it's going to be really hard to prove. I don't think that was really the case. George Floyd simply did not want to get in the squad car. The officers were trying to get him to go in there. They were trying to convince him. Matter of fact, it was a bystander. I don't know if it might have been a passenger, the female that was in the back. Somebody that was not an officer said, man, stop resisting. Like, he was doing too much for no reason. His passengers, they were cool. Okay, the guy and the girl, they were just sitting there, just kind of observing what was going on with Floyd acting up. Nobody escalated the situation other than George Floyd. The officers didn't do it. The passengers didn't do it. The store owner didn't do it. It was only George Floyd. It's unfortunate that he died, but I mean, whose fault is it really? There's two autopsies, right? Now, the first autopsy that came from Hennepin County's medical examiner says that he had the drugs in his system, the fentanyl and the meth. I think also the weed, definitely fentanyl and meth. and he died as a result of, you know, what was going on, the pre-existing conditions. He had heart problems and the drugs. That's what led to his death. It was not the knee on his neck. Now, a different autopsy that came from a paid person, the same guy that was paid to do the private autopsy for Jeffrey Epstein, this autopsy said that the knee did cause him to die. So in my view, that's a tie. You can't just believe one over the other. In my humble opinion, get a third opinion to break the tie. I mean, nobody really knows how he died. I'm willing to think that it was the drugs. I don't think it was a knee on the neck. Like I said, that was already on the books in Minneapolis. Okay, if that was a deadly move, then why was it there? And you can't ignore the drugs. The autopsy said there were drugs in this system. I think both autopsies, the one that ruled in favor of those that are trying to attack the police and the one that ruled in favor of those that were against them, both said that they had drugs in this system. All right. I think that was the main thing that was going on there. So as I close, I want to say this. It's unfortunate that George Floyd died, but I think that he was the main reason why he met an untimely demise. All he had to do was, first of all, not commit crime. But if you're going to commit crime, when you get caught, just accept it. Ain't no point in trying to resist. What are you even doing? That's going to make it worse because you already are in trouble for committing the crime. If you just say, all right, you know, my fault, let's go to jail, whatever, or keep your mouth shut, you go through the process, pay your fine, do your little day in jail or whatever, and go back home. Trying to resist and trying to do all this, it just is not going to be good. And I think that he wouldn't have done all that resisting if he were not on drugs. You know, so let it be lesson to anybody that's out there. Don't do drugs, please, because it ruins your brain. And it, unfortunately, in my humble opinion, and also in the opinion of the first autopsy reporter, it took his life. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think that George Floyd is the reason why George Floyd is not here anymore? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. Did the footage from the body cam show you anything that you didn't know? If it did, let me know what it was in the box below. You pretty much know where I am. I think the body cam, it just confirmed what I already thought and what I already knew. I knew that George Floyd resisted. That's why he was on the ground. You're not going to be on the ground for no reason. He actually requested to get on the ground. I don't know why he would do that, aside from just being on drugs and not knowing what you're talking about, not knowing what you're saying. He was obviously erratic. He was obviously behaving strangely. And if he was not doing that, then he would have been just fine. Like I said, the passengers, it was all good. They had no problems. They were standing outside. Nobody was even touching them. They were barely even getting any kind of attention at all. Everything was based on focusing on George Floyd because of his behavior, because of the erratic behavior, because of the drugs. The whole thing with the counterfeit bill wasn't even really important. It was just how he was behaving. So it was like, okay, you engaged in some kind of crime, you acting suspicious, like what's really going on? Are you high behind the wheel, sir? You're a danger to society. Get out the car and take it down to the station, get you sobered up, and you go about your business. You know, it's kind of like driving while you're drunk or something like that. That's kind of what it was looking like to me. Okay, the main thing was a forgery that they got him on, but they probably would have got him on, you know, driving under the influence, while intoxicated or whatever the case may be. It's unfortunate that he died, but what could have been the result of that situation? He was going 1,000 miles an hour straight to a brick wall, and that brick wall could have been anything. It could have been an officer. It could have been a literal brick wall. It could have been anything. So that's all I got, and whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.